Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of What If Jazz was in Transformers Prime. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So we start this part off with Operation Breakdown, and this episode will be dramatically changed. So Jazz and Bulkhead are fighting Breakdown and Knockout in an abandoned town, to which we see Knockout get kicked into an abandoned building by Jazz, and Bulkhead and Breakdown are fighting each other. To which Breakdown does still manage to take down Bulkhead, and Bulkhead is going unconscious, and then Jazz runs up to Breakdown and uppercuts him down, and then he does scan around again for the false energon trail, but he realizes that there's nothing there, so he just decides to take Bulkhead back to base. Breakdown then gets back up. Ha! They must be afraid of us. Right, Knockout? Knockout? And then he looks around, but then he sees Knockout being lifted away by a mech helicopter. Once Breakdown returns to the Nemesis, he immediately informs Megatron about Knockout being grabbed by humans in a specific helicopter, to which Blackout takes note of this and says, "A helicopter, you say?" And he immediately remembers the episode Convoy, where he encountered Mech in a way. To which, as well as Breakdown, he also really recommends that they go save Knockout. To which Megatron begins to think, well, he is our ship's medic. However, I feel like Breakdown could also fulfill that role. To which Bumblebee walks in, having his Season 3 look much earlier. But to Megatron, he's been like that for a little while now. Megatron, immediately noticing Bumblebee enter, decides to change his answer really quick. Although we must not allow any of our comrades to fall at the hands of mere humans, because they are quite dangerous. To which he then orders Breakdown and Blackout to follow him. Knockout must be rescued and brought back here safely. But Bumblebee also volunteers to go. Very well, Bumblebee. Also, you must be careful. Commander Blackout here will keep an eye on you. To which the four set out to free Knockout. Optimus, Ratchet, and Jazz also set out to free Knockout because Optimus would still go for that decision in canon. And so we see Knockout, who awakens before Silas. Filthy Organic, who do you think you are? We are Mech, and I am Silas. We brought you here to study your technology and make a new wave of, as you call it, Transformers. In advance, I would like to thank you for your contribution to Mech. As to which they begin to work on him. For one, taking out his eye. And now we cut to Breakdown, Bumblebee, and Blackout, where they encounter Jazz, Ratchet, and Optimus. Where Jazz takes on Breakdown, Blackout takes on Optimus, and Bumblebee takes on Ratchet. As to which Ratchet tries to reason with Bumblebee, but Bumblebee does not listen to him and keeps trying to lay some punches on Ratchet, but Ratchet dodges his punches. To which we cut to Megatron mercilessly killing mech soldiers in his way. Silas sees him through the cameras coming in, so he and his crew leave just like in canon. Megatron arrives and sees Knockout restrained, and he frees him. Lord Megatron, you freed me. Thank you. Such words are unneeded, Knockout. I only do what's necessary to help my fellow Decepticons. Now come, let us go. He transforms with Knockout on him, and he radios to the other 3 Decepticons to fall back that our ally Knockout has been rescued. And of course Breakdown is the first to get out of there, since rescuing Knockout was his objective. The Autobots then look at each other, then look at Bumblebee and Blackout, the 2 remaining ones here. To which Bumblebee feels like attacking, but Blackout stops him. Bumblebee, no need to attack. Our ally Knockout has been rescued. To which Blackout transforms with Bumblebee grabbing onto him using a tow cable. But before Blackout leaves, he gives a little gift to the Autobots, shooting missiles at them, which causes the town to blow up. And Jazz just simply looks at Bumblebee as he flies off with Blackout. Soon enough, Knockout is given the same eye cover that they gave Breakdown when he lost his eye in canon. As you can see, Bumblebee, these are the true horrors of the human race. That is why we live on this warship isolated. To which Bumblebee just looks in horror. Soon enough, Soundwave locates a weird magnetic disturbance, to which he sends in Arachnid and Blackout. And Ratchet locates the same disturbance and sends in Jazz and RC. Of course, Arachnid and Blackout are first to arrive, where they find the polarity gauntlet. Jazz and RC also arrive. RC then shoots the polarity gauntlet off Arachnid's hand and charges at her, and the two begin engaging each other and fighting. This is for tailgate. The polarity gauntlet then falls onto the ground. The two then begin running at it, but Blackout tackles Jazz and tries to shoot his gun at his head, but Jazz manages to grab the gun on time and aim it in another direction. And with that move, Jazz has an opening. He kicks Blackout headfirst into the ground, and then he makes a run for the polarity gauntlet. Blackout is then like, what? No! But Jazz picks up the polarity gauntlet. Actually, yeah. He then uses it on Arachnid, who has RC in a chokehold, launching her far away. Blackout, realizing the relic has been lost, decides to retreat. And later, he meets up with Arachnid again, and is infuriated knowing that a relic has been lost to the Autobots. As to which he then says, if only there was a way I could counteract Jazz and his new ability. As to which Arachnid has an idea and takes him to the derelict Decepticon ship, the Harbinger, and brings something before him, the immobilizer. Blackout is in like, this will most certainly do. As to which they leave the Harbinger for now, not knowing what else they could find within. And once they return to the Nemesis, they inform Megatron about the loss of the polarity gauntlet to Jazz, but the acquirement of the immobilizer. To which Megatron gains an idea. He looks at the immobilizer and he asks Blackout, how would you like to gain the ability to shut down technology within mere seconds? With this immobilizer, it can work, especially on the polarity gauntlet. To which Blackout says, I would be honored, Lord Megatron. To which an experiment happens on Blackout, with the immobilizer being mixed within his arm. Once he punches the ground, it'll send a temporary shock, disabling any technology for a few moments, similar to his Bayverse ability. Soon enough, Arachnid leads Knockout and Breakdown on a mission to retrieve the data cylinder. Optimus, Bumblebee, and Bulkhead move in and quickly start gaining an advantage on the cons. That is until Blackout flies in and transforms, punching the floor, which disables the Autobots' systems to move. As to which Optimus, with his last bit of energy, is like, Ratchet, send in Jazz immediately. To which Jazz arrives with the polarity gauntlet in hand and starts launching the cons. One by one, Bulkhead, while kind of frozen, says, Jazz, Blackout's arm. To which Blackout is about to punch the ground again, but Jazz uses the polarity gauntlet to stop his hand from even going to the ground. And then he shoots Blackout, which causes Blackout to go down. The rest of the Autobots regain motor functions, and they make a run for the data cylinder. Optimus grabs it and demands an immediate retreat. And back at the Nemesis, Blackout reports to Megatron, to which Megatron is quite upset, but he demands Knockout to walk in and scan the arm. Knockout does so, scanning the arm, and then he's like, it would seem that this new upgrade to Blackout's arm requires further testing and work. To which Megatron then says, make haste then. To which Blackout is taken to the med lab and begins getting his arm worked on by Knockout and Breakdown. To which back at the Autobot base, Team Prime is discussing recent events. Jazz wants to hand the polarity gauntlet back to Optimus Prime. Here, Optimus, I think this is best stored away, where no one could get their hands on it. But Optimus is like, negative, Jazz. It is best secured in your hands, for you have shown great bravery. Ratchet, do it. The polarity gauntlet is then attached into his arm, and he is able to use it just like any other weapon. Now, with Jazz and Blackout's upgrades, matching them more to their Bayverse counterparts, how will this affect the rest of the series going on? We'll see about that soon enough. But first, something must happen beforehand, for Unicron's emergence is near. And that's where I'm going to leave it off here, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed part 3, and I'll see you guys in part 4.